For years, the gate in front of our house was mostly decorative. We parked in the driveway, sometimes we parked on the street. The gate was always there, we just didn't think much about it. Then something in our neighborhood changed. A series of incidents and sadly recurring auto-related thefts caused us to think differently about security. All of a sudden, the gate mattered. We began to park behind it and closed it nightly. What once seemed unnecessary became important because of a need to protect something we valued. Now, that's why cities had gates in the ancient world. Gates existed because danger existed. At night, city gates were shut and barred to keep out thieves, enemies, or anyone who might threaten those living within the walls. The greater the city, the greater the gates. Which makes John's vision in Revelation so remarkable. Describing the New Jerusalem, John said it had a great high wall with 12 gates and with 12 angels at the gates. On the gates were written the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. There were 3 gates on the east, 3 on the north, 3 on the south, and 3 on the west. The wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Ezekiel had a similar vision of a future temple with gates on every side. Now, it seems like Revelation is describing the fulfillment of that vision. Except John makes the startling statement, I did not see a temple in the city. Now, why? Because the entire city has become the temple. God's presence is no longer confined to a sacred building. John tells us it's because the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple. What Ezekiel saw in shadow, John sees in fulfillment. But if the city itself has become the temple, it begs another question. Why does it still have gates? After all, gates exist to regulate access. They open to welcome and close to protect. Yet John includes the astonishing observation a few verses later, on no day will its gates ever be shut, for there will be no night there. Now, for John's first readers, that would have sounded nearly unthinkable. Gates were closed every night. This was one of the most basic responsibilities of a city's watchman. Open gates suggested vulnerability. Closed gates meant security. But the New Jerusalem's different. Its gates never close because there's no longer anything to fear. No enemy army awaiting outside the walls, no thief hiding in the darkness. The city is perfectly secure because God himself dwells in its midst. Now, the image may call to mind Psalm 24:7. Lift up your heads, you gates, be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. In the psalm, the gates are open to welcome the King. In Revelation, the gates never close because the King has arrived. The Lord God Almighty and the Lamb dwell among their people. Their presence, which was once confined to the Holy of Holies, now fills the city in its entirety. We live in a world of locks, passwords, and security systems. We lock our doors because we know the world is not yet as it should be. Revelation gives us a glimpse of a coming day when every reason for fear will be gone. The gates of God's city will stand open forever, not because it's unprotected, but because the King of Glory reigns. Have a blessed week.